Hello, this is Matt Caddo, Senior Fellow in Public Policy with the American Kratom Association. I'm doing this video from Indonesia, where we are meeting with government officials to work with them in order to petition the FDA in the United States to remove the current import alerts on Kratom. But the purpose in my doing this video this evening is to talk about the newly updated FDA guidance that many of you have seen, where the FDA is now putting millions of Americans at significant risk by forcing them, as Dr. Zawa said in 2018, to dangerously addictive and potentially deadly drugs that clearly pose a threat to the American people. But the FDA, again, simply is discarding all of those warnings that have been previously made and challenges to the premise by which they're making these conclusions by reissuing their current new guidance. The FDA, as we all know, has failed 3 times to convince public health officials to ban Kratom, both here in the United States and internationally. And without any new clear scientific evidence since 2018 to support this newly updated guidance on Kratom, the FDA is now issuing this policy that creates, without question, a de facto ban on Kratom. And that decision is not based on any scientific evidence. The Assistant Secretary for Health, Brett Chua, publicly scolded the FDA for their embarrassingly poor evidence and data back in 2018. And now the time has come for the US Congress and other officials to step forward and do the very same thing. The FDA has to be reined in by the Congress. Back in 1994, when Congress unanimously passed the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, it was because the FDA was acting irresponsibly. They were trying to ban all dietary supplements and vitamins on the premise that they were poorly formulated, that they were causing adverse events, they were killing people. This is the same narrative and the same playbook that they're using with Kratom, and it is why we have to step up and fight back. This is the most significant threat to the Kratom consumer in the United States since the 2016 ban attempt that the FDA rolled out there. We need the help of every advocate. We need to be unified in this approach. There are many who are blaming the Kratom extract marketplace as being the problem. This is misplaced. The fact is that the FDA is against all Kratom. Look at their directive. Look at what they're saying. Their claim is that Kratom powder, and even if it's extracted using FDA-approved extraction methods, they're still against it. And so this isn't about trying to divide the Kratom community, as some in our own community are doing. This is about fighting back against an FDA that is overreaching in their regulatory authority. We have to be unified. We have to be obviously effectively fight back, and we can't do that if we're shooting ourselves in the foot or combating each other in this battle. I am glad to have a discussion with anyone who is concerned about the Kratom extract marketplace. The trial attorneys and the lawsuits, which is a threat in and of itself to the Kratom community, focuses on the so-called concentrated Kratom products. But the truth is, and we know this from the science, there is no level of toxicity that will cause a death based on Kratom and metrogenine, or even a properly formulated extract product. The problem here is not whether or not Kratom is dangerous. It's the fact that we have in this marketplace the lack of regulations and the presence of some Kratom products that are poorly formulated and that are in fact adulterated with very dangerous substances. There is just a recent report from up in Michigan where a mother reported that her son died of a fentanyl-laced Kratom product. This is the problem we're confronting. The trial attorneys will then say, oh, it's Kratom. It is not. And we simply have to be able to be united in our efforts to make sure that accurate information is actually available to juries and to judges when they make those kinds of decisions. This is about good regulations, good labeling. We saw the court case down in Florida that was based on the sale of a product called space dust that arrived in a Ziploc bag, essentially, with no labeling instructions, and ultimately caused the death of that individual. We don't know at this point what that space dust formulation of a Kratom product was. We don't know what the toxicology report shows of the decedent. What we do know is that if any product is sold in that form without labeling, without allowing a consumer to make an informed decision about how they can responsibly use a Kratom product, then that product should not be on the marketplace. And we fully support that effort. But we know that the FDA isn't interested in doing that, because we at the AKA have submitted over the last 3 years more than 75 reports of Kratom products being marketed inappropriately using illegal therapeutic claims, and the FDA has not conducted one prosecution of any of those reports. They've issued just a couple of warning letters, but nothing that rises to the level of need, which is to eliminate these badly formulated and illegally marketed products. The FDA wants us to fail. They want this industry to implode on itself. And that's exactly what they planned for the dietary supplement industry back in 1994. Congress needs to act. And you will see shortly that the Federal Kratom Protection Act will be filed, and that we're going to start this battle directly with the FDA. We need help. This is without question the threat that is before us today, in a coordinated effort between the FDA and these trial attorneys to build this narrative, this anti-Kratom narrative. It requires us to stand up and speak out and obviously be united. And I think a good illustration of that need is here in Indonesia. We've had the amazing opportunity to meet with the Minister of Health. We are scheduled to meet with the President's Chief of Staff and with the various ministries within the Indonesian government in order to continue our discussions about partnering with the Indonesian government to apply for relief from the import alerts, which is the de facto ban that the FDA has created on Kratom outside of the statutory authorities, a stretch beyond imagination for them using it and abusing it for that purpose. And we need the Indonesian government to help with that. We've had great meetings, great relationships, but we have discovered that there are Kratom advocates from the United States who have come to Indonesia and have spread disinformation, anti-American Kratom Association, blaming the AKA and all of the advocates who support us for disrupting the marketplace, for being unfair to the farmers in Indonesia. Nothing could be further from the truth. We support fair trade that allows for a competitive marketplace and a commodity-based trading system that fairly compensates the Indonesian farmers, the some 200,000 farmers who rely exclusively on harvesting of Kratom products for their livelihood. We don't believe in a socialized price-fixing program, and there are some who do, that are from the United States, who are promoting anti-AK propaganda here in Indonesia for their own selfish purposes. Again, we need to disregard those people. We need to disenfranchise them from our discussions, because what they're doing is destructive. It's completely untrue, and yet they promote that. And we run into it in discussions with people here in Indonesia who believed it because they heard it from these American advocates for Kratom that are completely distorting the actual message of the American Kratom Association and the millions of advocates who are trying to promote good regulatory schemes in order to protect consumers in Kratom products that are manufactured. I would ask each of you to reassess the ability you have to help now. We're going to be fighting hard against the FDA with their latest action. We are going to be working with the US Congress in order to rein in the FDA from their abuse of their current regulatory powers. And we are going to be working with the Indonesian government, with hopefully the support of the American advocacy community for Kratom, to make sure that we put good standards in place for the shipment of Kratom raw materials into the United States that will not be interfered with by the FDA going forward. You have our support. We pledge to you our ongoing efforts to do that, and we ask you to join us in this important battle. So stay tuned as we reach out for you. You will be receiving email messages that will describe various initiatives that we are taking that will require your help to contact your legislative delegations in Washington, D.C. to assist with this effort. And we obviously are going to need a lot more resources in order to fight back against the FDA with their latest ridiculous position that they're taking with respect to their new updated guidance policy, which strips every American if it were implemented the way that the FDA chooses to do, from their right to make an informed, responsible decision about what they use in terms of products for their health and well-being. We're united in this fight, and I ask everyone to unite behind this message as we move forward. So thanks to all of you, and stand by in the next few days for additional information on how you can help in order to protect the Kratom access in the American marketplace. Thank you.